Hey everybody, welcome to August sampler. Okay, this block is we're going to make a 4-patch and then we're going to do square and square. So if you haven't done square and square yet, you will be good by the time we're done with this. So I'm going to take, I have my B and C fabrics, I'm going to sew them together. So I have a B and a C right here. Let me do this one. And you want right sides together, but if it's a batik and you can't tell, then it doesn't matter. All right, so I'm going to press this to the darker fabric. Just making a simple 4-patch. Okay, so this is what I have. I'm going to put it together like this. I'm going to match up my seams and put in a pin because that'll hold it really nice. And when I put in a pin, I put it in about 1/8 of an inch away from the seam. I like to have it really close to the seam. Doesn't matter which way I press this. All right, so here's our 4-patch. All right, so the next fabrics that are going to go around it are a background fabric. And so I'm going to take my background fabric, I'm going to fold it in half along the long side, the hypotenuse. So what I do is I match up the corners and I find the middle and I pinch it. And you can either just keep it as a pinch for a mark, or you can take a pen and just put a little mark there, right where that meets. So what I want to do is I want to take this mark and line it up. I can go the other way. So I'm going to line up my seam with the seam of my 4-patch with the mark that I just made. And you can put in more pins, but I at least like to pin the center. And then you'll notice that these points extend beyond the 4-patch. And that's fine. Okay. And then you want to sew with the straight of grain on top, and this time it really doesn't matter because this is the straight of grain, but either side works. So it looks like this. I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. I'm going to put in a mark. I'm going to find the middle along the long side. I'm going to pinch it for like a little crease. If I want more of a mark, I can put a little mark, little ink mark there. I'm going to do the opposite side. Put a pin. There's my pin in the center. I want my 1/4 inch seam all nice and lined up. Take out the pin. have, and since I've done the two opposite sides, I'm going to press it, and I'm going to press it towards the triangles. That's what I have. All right, so now I can do these other sides, and I'm going to go ahead and take my fabric, find the middle, pinch it, put a little mark. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. Find the middle, pinch it, put a little mark. And what's nice about this is we have the seam to line it up against. So I can see right where that mark needs to go. And I'm going to go ahead and do the other one. Pin that other one. I sew this, you can see that the little triangle points extend beyond, and that's how it should look. It should be bigger, but it all works. Side, since I have it pinned and ready to go. All right, let me iron this. There's our first square in the square. So I'm going to trim off these little bits right here because they get in the way. They just add a lot of bulk. You will probably want to use scissors. Okay, so that's what it looks like trimmed. All right, so now I have two other colors. And so I'm going to take my lighter color and I'm going to fold it in half just like I did before along the longest side, the hypotenuse. I'm going to put in a little mark. I'm going to do that with the other one at the same time. Okay, I have my little pinch, mark it. So everybody see my mark? It's right here. Right, so I want to line that up with right where the seam meets. And the way I like to do that is, well, first of all, the way this is cut, this is all on a bias. And this happens to be all on a bias. So you're going to have to be really careful when you sew this because it's going to want to stretch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pin and I'm going to put a pin in on that marked line 1/4 inch down, which is about right there, if you can see that. Actually, it needs to come down just a tad bit more. Okay, so I put a pin in and then I find where this meets. I'm going to put in a pin. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. but I have a pin right here where that fabric meets. So I'm going to take the pin and kind of just straighten it out. So I want my pin to be perpendicular to the fabric, okay? And I want my 1/4 inches to line up. And then once I have it lined up, I can take out this marking pin and put it in, because I have the marked line where the seam meets back here. And since this is all in a bias, and it's such a long seam, I'm gonna pin the beginning and the end. So I don't have any surprises. And we're gonna do this 4 times. So I have 3 pins, and I'm gonna sew on this line. I'm gonna be really careful not to stretch and pull, because everything is on a bias. Take out that pin. I'm just letting the machine feed it in. I don't know if you can see that, but my seam is right where it should be. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. I actually wanted this turned, but that's okay. So I'm going to put in a pin 1/4 inch down on that marked line. And put a pin in where those seams meet. All lined up. Want my pin perpendicular this way. And once I have all that, then I can pin it. I don't want to bend the pin down because that will distort it all. And what I mean by bend it down, I don't want to take that marked pin and just just pull down on it, because it will distort it. I need to take the pin out and repin. Take that pin out. Again, don't pull, don't stretch. Just let it feed in. Iron this. All right, so that's what it looks like. Now I'm going to do the same thing with these triangles. I'm going to fold it in half, find the middle, do a little pinch, put in a mark, repeat, fold it in half, a little pinch in the middle, mark it. And this is one of those heat away pens, so it's going to go away. All right, so again, I'm going to take a pin, put it on this marked line 1/4 inch down, right on that marked line. Then I can take the other part of the pin, put it right where those seams meet. Okay, when I talked about don't pulling the pin down, I don't want to take this pin and just bend it down and pin it, because then it just distorts everything here. I want to keep this pin up and down, and if you need to, take another pin, pin it in place, and then you can pull out that marking pin. I'm going to pin the ends because it's all on a bias and it's long. Hold it up again, these little points extend beyond. That's a good thing. Side. Again, pins, pins and pins. Put a pin in 1/4 inch down on the marked line. Put the other part of pin in where that seam meets. Line it up. I can take out that pin. At this end. Pin at this end. And now I'm going to sew. Iron it. We do this side. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this. So my points meet 1/4 inch, just like they should, right at where this seam is. So my points are really good. These points here should extend the same amount so my fabric is straight across. So if you pinned it in the center and sewed it so you didn't stretch it, this line should be straight, this line should be straight. What tends to happen sometimes is one of them is a little bit shorter because it didn't get lined up just right. Okay, and I'm going to trim these off, but I made a mistake on here, and some of you might notice it and others may not. And I noticed it pretty soon, and I decided I was just going to go with it because I think it looks okay. So let me cut off these and I'll show you what I did. Okay, on this one, I have all these colors lined up, like this and this, and on that one, I did the opposite. I have the same colors here, or just so it's the opposite. So it doesn't matter, it's whatever you like. If you make a mistake, just go with it, continue on, and nobody's gonna know the difference, okay? All right, thanks, bye.